As a miniature wargamer, I love big games. The more miniatures, the more terrain, the bigger the table. Really trying to build that narrative, taking the rules, taking good wargaming friends, rolling some dice, and trying to immerse ourselves in that moment as that tabletop commander, making those decisions, going for that tabletop glory. But within that framework, while I love big games, one of the things that I always try to do, and this is the question for today's Wargaming vlog, scaling the game appropriate for the time frame that you have to play as best as we can. This is why with BattleTech, I love that I can scale the game in multiple directions. There's kind of a standard game of BattleTech that we play, which is about 4 hours or so. That's the time that we have to play. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. So whether we're playing Inner Sphere or we're playing Clans, we scale it for that. But there are times where I'll bring some BattleTech stuff and maybe we only have an hour to play or an hour and a half. So we'll do Alpha Strike. Or there's times where just another table's opened up, we've got some new players, and we can do something even bigger. So just flood the table with more miniatures. So the first aspect, of course, is looking at the time frame and being realistic with the size of the game that you can play. And I say realistic in that I want to build in some time to reflect on those awesome moments on the table, right? When something absolutely crazy happens and you step back to enjoy that moment. I want to build in some time where if you or myself, if we have to step back for a second and really think, I won't say analysis paralysis, but really think and say, what are we going to do here? Are we going to go for this? Are we going to look for that tabletop glory? And of course, some time to just kind of be a little bit social with my opponent, right? Talk, laugh, joke, kind of have that fun. Different than tournament play. Absolutely. We're talking kind of casual games. So with that perspective, looking to scale. The other reason why I think it's important to adjust the game for the time that you have, and again, as best you can, you might have to look up some rules, or someone might come over and have a question about the game. And of course, if they do that, you want to embrace that enthusiasm and help bring them into the game and say, hey, why don't you play a turn and see what happens? Finishing out the mission. Finishing out the mission, whatever that mission might be. This is true also with board gaming. I think the only thing that's a little bit immune to it is if we're playing role-playing games where when you end in that moment, you try to end in the correct moment. But really with a role-playing game, I can stop, bookmark it, and come back next week. A war game, we can't do that. I mean, there's a couple of games we've done in the Fritz cave where we can, but that's more of a campaign. But if we're playing pickup games or at a club or a group, we can't. I want to finish it out. I want you to finish it out. I want there to be a clear condition and we can see and we can reflect. So I think that's very, very important. And I always try to take that into account. I'd love to build in a little time after the game, not only to clean up and leave the club in good shape and get my miniatures away, but to be able to talk with my opponent and ask them in a kind of a detailed way, what do you think I did wrong? Or if they did something really well, to say, hey, you know, you really got me there. Were you planning that? Were you setting that up? Or did I just make a mistake that I didn't see? There's always a chance, even in a kind of casual pickup game, to refine your tactica. I'd love to build in 5 or 10 minutes, especially if it's an opponent that I've never played before. It's a chance to kind of introduce myself and build friends in the community. So there's more to just rolling dice. Now, if we do run out of time, what happens? So we're getting close to 10 o'clock and the club is going to close. I don't want to go up to that exact 10 o'clock moment because we've got to clean up. We've got to put things away. Some people want to lock up, clean up, and get out of there. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. So I tend to look as we approach the 15-minute mark to the end of the evening to say, hey, I mean, we're not going to finish this game. How would it play out? Just if we continued playing out here, what is the inevitable conclusion? And if my opponent has it, give it to them. I'm not going to argue and say, well, if it continues out, there's a chance I might win. Well, no, look at it, bro. You're getting crushed. You went for that tabletop glory. It failed. Your forces are running away. Your mechs are smoking. You know, infantry fight to the absolute end. But I think we can say you didn't quite stop the invasion here on the flank. So it's going to go to your opponent, right? It's going to go to me. Looking at that perspective and just being honest, because again, if I can't finish the game, we can at least honestly assess and say, hey, you've got this, or I've got this, or honestly, it's kind of going to work out to be a tie. Finishing a game, playing a game, trying to get the most, not only out of your miniature collection, but out of the actual physical tabletop time that you have to play this game.